Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another Daily Marvel Snap video. So today we have one of my favorite deck archetypes, and that is a junk, clutter, syndom crap style deck. And the reason I like this one so much is you can really put the opponent into very difficult positioning. So if they're wanting to go wide with a Doctor Doom and an Odin, you can sometimes cap out a lane and then all of a sudden their Doctor Doom is only 10 power instead of 15. And it really makes it hard for them to guarantee that they're going to lock down and win games or spread enough power on the board to have a good chance to win. And then likewise, you can lock down a lane so that if they're doing a Shuri, sometimes you can cap it out where you can position your Shang-Chi, where you can destroy whatever big card they play and then have the other lane capped out with just a moderate amount of power so that you can find a way to win it. And this version, it has one small change, one small key tweak that I have been loving. So I've always been a little bit uncertain on the last two cards. So I've tried Spider-Woman, I've tried Gamora, I've tried Doc Ock, and all of them have their place. So sometimes Gamora is fantastic. Sometimes Spider-Woman is a little bit more flexible, and sometimes she's very, very strong at the 5-cost slot. Sometimes Doc Ock would force them into inadvertently capping out locations, and then they just couldn't play on that last turn. However, Doc Ock sometimes backfires. A lot of times, it's like a target to pull their Shang-Chi. But with this version, since we already want to run a Daredevil, since we want to get a good read on if we can cap out a lane, so on turn 5, if we can do a key debris drop, a key Green Goblin, a key Titania to cap out one of their lanes, and we can have that lockdown guaranteed, then it just makes sense to have Professor X in the deck as well. So that way we have another alternative way to restrict their space of play. Now all we have to do is cap out 4 spots, or ideally 2, maybe 3 spots if they play a couple of times in one lane, and then we can lock down the other. And that makes their last turn plays very, very difficult to navigate. And so overall, I think the deck list runs amazingly. I have seen a version where it takes out Titania and it adds in Polaris in its place. It's a little bit higher curve, but you can play the Polaris on 3 and not have to worry about holding the Titania. However, I like to hold the Titania or the Demon for a last turn drop alongside a Spider-Woman, a last turn drop alongside Shang-Chi, so that we can be doing a good tech card and getting a lot of power on the board in the same turn. But overall, the deck has been phenomenal. If you want to see more of this deck and any of our other decks live, make sure to be following us on twitch.tv/TLSGSnap. We have been going live every weekday, except for the last couple. My daughter's been sick, which has been a whirlwind on my schedule. I haven't been able to consistently go live the last couple days, but we will be kicking it back before too long. And so with the deck explanation out of the way, we're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, first up we have Whiskers. And the first location is Machine World, so anything we play there, they'll get a copy of. Death's Domain isn't great either. Let's go ahead and play our Hood into Death's Domain, though. That will at least get rid of the negative downside. Now, we do have Carnage somewhere. We do have Viper somewhere, but if we don't have to use it, I would rather save it. And so we're going to go ahead and destroy it. We do get Professor X, which is great for us. We could do... Let's go ahead and do Green Goblin in the right lane. They're probably going to play over there pretty heavily because they don't want us to copy whatever they're playing in Machine World. So next turn, we'll prioritize dropping our Daredevil. That way we can get a read on where the opponent's playing. We can position our Professor X probably in Death's Domain, honestly, because that's most likely going to be the easiest lane for us to win. Now, they have a Rock Slide, so they're sending some junk into our deck. That should be fine. Right now, that's the highest power card. We could do Debris in Machine World and just assume that we're going to be able to cap this one out and that we'll be able to get a free Professor X lock in mid. I don't think they're going to have anything that will be able to play into that middle location. So this looks like a Sarah Hawk deck, something that wants to run a Shang-Chi, a Hawk, maybe an Enchantress, a couple of other cards. Ooh, maybe a Killmonger as well. So maybe we shouldn't play our Demon. In that case, no, we're going to be a little bit safer to do Daredevil and then Black Widow, I think, to the right. That's going to be our safest play. I think they play for the left lane. We could have capped out their right lane, but if they have a Killmonger, they could have played it next turn, freed up some of that space, and it just wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been great for us. Now, if we are losing both the left and the right lane on the last turn, then we can drop our demon, our Titania, without having to worry about a potential Killmonger play. So I think this sets us up in a very, very advantageous positioning. And the Professor X tech is one of those that is typically not included, but is one that I've found I've really enjoyed lately. So we're going to be able to lock down mid, which otherwise we wouldn't have been able to play for. And so it would have came down to just the point differential. But since we're able to play for that location, we don't have initiative going into that last turn. We can prioritize dropping Shang-Chi in the right lane, Demon in the right lane. That should allow us to guarantee that we swing that location in our favor. And I think it becomes a very easy game at that point. So we have the middle location. Let's go ahead and lock in the Shang-Chi to the right. I think their Hawk comes down somewhere, a Hawk and then 1 or 2 cost cards somewhere else. But they've played both Korg and Rockslide. Maybe they they could try to do a Killmonger, but right now it's not going to clear anything up for them, so that's fine. We just were able to put them in a very poor positioning. The Cosmo is massive. So no one reveals for us, but that's okay. We can't use the Shang-Chi, but the Demon will tie for the highest power card with the Rock Slide, and so we do swing that one in our favor still. That was almost detrimental with the Cosmo play. It was very bold for them to stay with the double Cosmo drop, maybe expecting us to drop the Shang-Chi or some other similar card, but we are able to hold it down. We get the 4 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Incompetence, and they gave us the good old hello at the start before we did anything, so I don't think they're a bot. But we're going to go ahead and play Hood into the left lane. That's going to be an easy target for our Carnage. Even if we get a Viper, we don't necessarily need to focus on it. We're going to clear 2 of the negative downsides, and we have all of the upside. I'm actually going to play Black Widow over there. Okay, we were hoping that they didn't have a clutter deck, but they don't. They don't have a junk deck. But let's go ahead and do the Carnage. Since it's a Patriot deck, I don't think they're going to run a Demon, so I feel safe enough to play our Demon onto the board. Wow, they have a Debris. Okay, so they have the Debris, which is fine. We were able to avoid the Debris play, and we have a Debris of our own, which is so beautiful. They don't know that it's about to drop either. I don't know. I kind of want to do Daredevil and then Viper. I know that we're not sending them anything. No, we're going to prioritize the Debris. We're just going to do the Daredevil. We're going to slow play it. We're not going to rush it. We're just playing the Daredevil. If we can cap out 2 or even 3 of their locations next turn, wow. The wave was not something I was anticipating, which they got from the camp, right? There's no way. That has to be a bot-like play. I mean, now they could play an Ultron early, an Onslaught early. We can't do our Debris and Viper, which is what we were planning on doing. Not terrible. Dr. Doom is going to send here and here. Let's go ahead and interrupt that with a Debris. Now, unfortunately, we can't fully cap out that right lane. If we didn't have the wave, we could do Debris and then hit it with a Viper. But we're going to send a Rock over here before the Doombot goes because we have initiative, we have priority. Then we're going to send one over. They have 1 space to play. So at most, they can do a Blue Marvel, a Patriot, maybe a Valkyrie, but I don't see running both a Dr. Doom and a Valkyrie. And so they are going to get dangerously close to being capped out here. How do we win from this point? If they do a Patriot, that's probably going to be the most power they can put on the board. There's going to be 2, 4, 6, 7 power. 7 extra power in this lane that brings them to 13. This is going to be this does it for us in this lane. The Mojo does, and so then we could do Titania and Punisher. That's going to be the most actually. Actually, Punisher is going to be 1 more than Titania. I think this left lane is our win lane because we have a big enough lead there. It's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. That only pushes them to 9. We're going to do the Punisher to the left. We're going to do Mojo to the right, Titania in mid. And we put them and we blocked their field enough that we were able to force the retreat. Let's go ahead and take the 1 cube. We'll jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Trellix. And they could be a bot. I hate that I have to second guess every single match I go into. They could be a bot. I gave them a fist bump. They gave me a fist bump back. But that could just be the implementation of how it works. I don't know. I feel like I'm going crazy. I have to look for like the variants. I know that there's a list on Marvel Snap Zone, but I don't want to pull that up every single match. We do get a Brood, which is going to be huge in Nidavellir if we decide we want to drop it. I think we do Daredevil to the right. We're going to hide the demon in the left, so it should be fine over there. And then we're poised to do some pretty big things. So the Brood in mid into a turn 5 Professor X, I think is going to be massive. Let's go ahead and do that, because then this is going to get an extra 15 power just from being those little broodlings. Just from having the little broodlings on the board, we're going to get an extra 15 power in this lane. And then our Professor X becomes, of course, 8, making it a little bit more difficult for them to keep pressure there. And we also have the Daredevil read, which makes the Professor X amazingly easy to pull off. And then we could also know if we're going to be able to cap out with Titania, the Green Goblin, Debris. There's just so much good utility from Daredevil in this clutter or junk deck. All right, so they play 1 and 1. So the Korg and the Hawk to the right. Korg is going to be 5, 6, 7, so it brings them up to 23, right? This brings us up over 23, and then we're just responsible for the left lane. On the last turn, we could do a Spider-Woman and a Titania maybe. Actually, Titania is a little bit scary because we don't know who's going to reveal first. Okay, well, I think we will reveal first because we'll have initiative going into this turn. Well, no? Did they steal it? Oh, I thought they stole it with the Hawk for a second. All right, so this is going to be... Oh, no. Debris can't work. All right, so instead of fighting for the left lane, wondering if Titania is going to function where she wants to go, where she needs to go, we're just going to play for the left lane. They could have a Rock Slide that adds +4 here, but if they don't play into the camp, we're going to force it full with the Debris, which will trigger our Mojo. Our Mojo plus Titania is a huge power swing in that right lane that I think could allow us to hold it down no matter what they drop. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. So it does have the Titania. The Agent Coulson right now does not do it. We do get the Mojo bonus. Let's see. The Rock Slide buffs it up by 4. That makes it very, very close. It's within 1, but we actually win the left lane as well. So we were putting a lot of emphasis on that right lane, but we actually swing and hold all 3 locations. So we will go ahead and take the 2 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Hey, so we have Jeff Hoagland again. I feel like we match up to him multiple times a day. I'm wondering if he's having the same bot issues that I'm having, because it's very, very tough to get a real match. We're going to play Black Widow into Kiln. Right now, we don't have Daredevil for the Professor X read. If we get it, then that's going to be a really easy lockdown. If not, we're probably going to prioritize next turn doing something like a Debris into a Carnage, maybe a Carnage in mid. Maybe we go Viper mid. I don't know. We have a couple of ways that we can choose to go about this. The Superflow, wow. So we'll be able to do a Professor X lock next turn. What kind of deck are they running? I mean, you have the Green Goblin. You have to use it in a Superflow. Like that's such a large amount of info that you're taking away from them and giving to yourself or keeping for yourself, that you just can't pass that up. Wow, the Brood. Okay, so the Brood in mid is big. All right. How do we want to play this one now? So that's probably a Silver Surfer deck. If they have the Brood, I would assume, and the Domino. So this goes down to 5. We go up to 9. 2, 4, 6. They could be a max of 11 if they get the Silver Surfer off. So maybe we just over to the left. Is that what we want to do? Otherwise, it's like Debris and Viper, but I don't think we're going to cap out 2 of the locations. So maybe this is what we fight for. I don't know. Doesn't feel fantastic, but let's see. Wow, they have a Debris of their own. Interesting. So the Silver Surfer is big if they can get it off. Well, it is, as they say, it is what it is. If they play a card into the Superflow this turn, then we're going to cap them out with the Viper. That is our only hope. Our only hope. That is all that we have, because we are tied in the left lane. Their debris stuck. And so a Silver Surfer just absolutely demolishes us here. Let's see. I guess they could drop the Silver Surfer this turn. Yeah. That's what I would snap over, is draw like right before I drop the Silver Surfer. Either that, or maybe they're going to skip here. Okay, so they do drop the heads up play of the Silver Surfer early. All right, which is good. That's what they should have done. That's how they should have played it. But we are going to lose in the left lane, and then we won't be able to swing any of the other ones. So we're going to go ahead and retreat out. Unfortunately, we knew as soon as we saw the Brood, we knew what kind of deck it was. Just unfortunately, it fell that they one, had the Silver Surfer, two, debris stuck. A few things worked against us. So we're going to go ahead and retreat out, and we'll jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Zatchburb. The first location is Warrior Falls. So we're going to be able to get our hood destroyed. Not necessarily what we want to happen. I'd rather use it to clog their side of the board, but at the very least, we don't have to worry about it negatively impacting our hand or negatively impacting our board. I'm going to go ahead and play a Black Widow into mid. We're going to try to prioritize disrupting them as much as possible, and then clogging them as much as possible as well. Now, a certain version of this list drops the Titania for Polaris. You could try to argue dropping the Black Widow, but Black Widow is just a good alternative for your Viper. Titania I like just in case we don't have the Professor X, but Polaris is another potential drop that you can add in here. Let's do Daredevil and Demon. We're going to hold Titania either for the last turn alongside Spider-Woman. Wow, and they didn't put the Widow's Bite into the left lane. Very interesting. They haven't showed us much. The Odin. Maybe this is some kind of wave deck? I don't know. Maybe it's a Hela deck? Who knows? Not this guy. Our Spider-Woman is now on the board, so we don't have to worry about that one. We're going to go ahead and do Mojo in the right lane. And we're going to try to maintain the win in the vault. Right now we have a pretty sizable lead, but Jubilee comes in clutch and pulls a Chavez. So being the savvy, prepared individual, we have a Shang-Chi. And then they drop a Sandman. So it's beautiful that we get to see that they drop the Sandman, so that we can play around it. So let's go ahead and do the Shang-Chi in mid. We're going to win that location. Even if they end up doing like a Doctor Doom, I think we're fine. Titania should also be fine in this right lane. And then we'll look at how to play or position the last turn. Because now if they play in the right lane, then it won't move our Titania. If we play in the right lane, it will. So we'll see. We have initiative, so we have a small chance to send them Mojo. If we send them Mojo with the Viper, and their Doctor Doom over here can't trigger, that's going to be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Okay, so they retreat. We overthought it, but we had the 1 out of 3 chance to be able to still win if this was the Doctor Doom play. The most optimal play for them would be Doctor Doom in Warrior Falls. It would just win. Now, that's if we didn't have anything over 5, which would have been kind of a difficult read for them to make. But we will go ahead and take the 1 cube. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have G364370. I wonder if there's any significance to those numbers. I've played against this person several times, but I have no idea if there's like any meaning to those numbers or not. So I'm going to go ahead and play, I think, I was going to say Mojo into the Onslaught Citadel, but I kind of like the idea of doing a Hood and then a Debris or a Green Goblin and then just really leaning into the junk. Like Mojo here, if it triggers, great. That's going to be an extra 12 power in that lane, which is beautiful. It offsets the -2. Wow, what a beautiful Thanos split. That is a lot of Thanos playing. It's a gold with the purple Kirby Crackle, which is amazing. I kind of wish they would have kept him at a purple border though. Anyways, it's their card, not mine, so I don't have a say in what they do with it. So we could do, not that. We could do this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, we don't want to do that. We'll save that for next turn. Let's do the Green Goblin. Copying Carnage in the cloning vats is huge. If we can get them close to being capped out, next turn we could do something like Hood, Demon, Carnage. Then we're going to copy that increased power Carnage, and then that's just 2 big power that can be thrown on the board. Never mind, cloning vats is gone. However, we are going to cap them out of the Fisk Tower lane. We're not going to copy the Green Goblin, unfortunately. It is what it is at this point, but we do... Wait, they ramped up, right? They use Psylocke. They have 5 energy here. They could do a Doc Ock in one of these lanes, but they can't do a Galactus. So I think we're okay. I think we're in a pretty good spot. Now, if they end up playing like a Khazar or a Blue Marvel into the Onslaught Citadel, that's tough. Or a Killmonger anywhere. That's awful. Okay. Well, you lose some and then you lose some. So this looks like the Death Wave version that I've been seeing floating around. I don't know who popularized it, but I have been seeing this kind of float around a little bit. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. Not terrible. What if we did something like Spider-Woman here? Then we could prioritize doing like a Mojo, Demon, Titania, Demon, or something along those lines. I think it's probably going to be one of our better bets here. Okay, so Space Stone, they can move a card from mid over, and they play a Shang-Chi preemptively. Interesting, okay. So they still have a chance to swing this one. Like, they could just move Green Goblin and then invest here. But what if we did this, and then this? I think that gives us the best shot. Like, we could do Demon in the right lane if we thought they were going to play away from it, but I think we're just going to give that one away. We're just going to give them that location. This should let us win the left lane. I think they could have a Devil Dino, and that's the double-powered Devil Dino, but then they're really leaning in on us not trying to win this Monster Metropolis lane. So it comes down to a very difficult read of what we were going to do on the last turn, but we do get the retreat here as well. And so the last couple were a little bit lackluster, but with a clutter, with a junk deck, you put them in such bad positioning that a lot of times you have to snap aggressively to be able to get like 2, maybe 4 cubes at a time versus the 1 cube retreats. But overall, the deck list has been very fun. I was starting to not run junk decks as much because of how much Killmonger counters them. But with the ability to lock in one of the lanes with a Professor X, at that point we could save our 1-cost cards and then force them into either dropping Killmonger early, force them into having 2 lanes capped out where they just can't really reinforce it any other way, and then we're able to put them in really difficult to win positionings. So we're gonna go ahead and take the cubes. That's where we're gonna end the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like and a comment down below. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.